we're going to talk about Debt Collective's core thesis, which is that you are not alone, one, and that no one should have to go into debt to pursue education. And so today I am so excited because we have Tiara Johnson joining us. She is a Bennett Belle. And she actually is part of a group of people who had their debt canceled. So back in 2022, the Debt Collective, along with our sister organization, the Rolling Jubilee Fund, we were able to cancel $1.7 million in student debt. And Tierra was one of those folks that got her debt canceled. So we're going to have a conversation today about what that means, why debt should be canceled. It's also Women's History Month. It was just Black History Month. So this is right on the money. This is exactly what we should be talking about right now. But without further ado, I just want to introduce Tierra. And first thing I want to ask you is just, could you introduce yourself to folks? Tell us a little bit about where you're from, and just also what inspired you to pursue higher education? And was higher education like really important in your family, or were you influenced by someone close to you? I would love to hear more about your educational journey. So, yeah.
Yes. So first, let me say thank you so much, Maddie, for inviting me. This is wonderful. This is an amazing platform, and I'm just happy to be here. Let's get that right out of the way. First things first, happy Women's History Month. I feel like this was ordained because not only did we just come off the month of being Black History, but now it's Women's History Month, and it feels so enriching and insightful because I've learned so much during Black History Month that I never knew. One of the things, can I share that one
Of
thing that I
course.
learned?
Yes,
So, oh
absolutely.
my goodness. I learned that before Madam C.J. Walker, there was another young lady before her that hired her and helped her become a millionaire. And it was so amazing. I forgot her name, but yes, she hired Madam C.J. Walker and she showed Madam C.J. Walker how to become the second millionaire. That's an African American woman. So I learned that. We just learned about economics. We learned about business and entrepreneurship. So I'm so excited about that. Again, guys, as Miss Maddie said, my name is Tiara Johnson, affectionately known as Tiara J. And I am so happy to be here with you all today. Thank you so much, Debt Collective, for inviting me. I am a 16th generation Washingtonian. We are from Washington, D.C. Some of my family is from Alabama. All over the world, we have family in almost every part of the world, including Africa and Asia. So our family is multicultural. We are I have family that was a part of civil rights. And we're coming off of the heartbreaking news of Reverend Jesse Jackson passing away. Um, and I want to share a short story. In 1988, when Reverend Jesse Jackson announced his presidential campaign, I was one of the babies that he kissed.
Oh my
So, yeah. So I am a part of Black history, women's history,
Beautiful.
all the things, you know? So it's just exciting and to just know that I've done some things in my life even before I could talk, walk, and all the things, right? So on one side of my family, I'm a 16th generation Washingtonian, and on one side, I am a fifth generation, and that means my family migrated from Utah, Alabama, for a better life. My grandmother was born in 1912, so we know the backstory on some things. So she was born a little before the Great Depression. So her and her 13 other siblings heard some things, saw some things, and they wanted a better life. And what that looked like is 9 of them migrating to Washington, D.C. To afford a better life. I had a great uncle that worked in the White House. I had a great aunt that worked in Congress. So it was a lot. Um, we have we are etched in stone. Um, and my family is also a founding members of a church in Washington, D.C. Our names are up there with our information. We are part Native American, so our names are in history in St. Mary's County as well. So I'm just engulfed and enriched with so much history, and my background is expansive. And I know you asked me a question. I remember some of it.
Well, you're answering
Uh,
it because it's really just about education. I mean, it's so obvious. Like, education is just
yeah.
interspersed in your history, in
Yes.
your family line.
Yes. So I
It was
come.
just a no-brainer. You're going to school pretty much, right? I'm
Yes.
sure it was.
Yes. So I come from a middle class, working class family. Um, my mom and her siblings are college graduates. My
Mhm,
grandparents are college graduates. Um, my great grandmother on my paternal side, um, she didn't get that opportunity. She
mhm,
had children early, but one of the great success stories for her, the late Marjorie Carter, was the fact that she was able to obtain a job in the government. And at one point in time, for a lot of African Americans, it was a plus, and it was an honor to work for the government at one point in time because you were guaranteed benefits, right?
mhm,
And you were guaranteed something to leave behind for your family.
mhm,
And my grandfather delivered papers when he was younger. And when he met my grandmother, they were 14. They met. They, of course, they dated. They got married. And education was at the precipice. Like it was very important.
mhm,
Again, my grandmother graduated. My grandmother graduated in 2004. My
oh,
grandmother, yes, at 60 years old, my grandmother graduated from University of Maryland.
mhm,
At first, I think it was called, I forgot, was it? I think it was just University of Maryland,
mhm,
College Park.
mhm,
And when she graduated, at that point, we were about to graduate from high school, which were her grandkids. But
right,
she waited until it was time for her. And she waited until her last child, my aunt, graduated from Morgan State University. My mom went to Morgan State University. She finished in 1985 in December, but when she graduated and they let her walk across the stage, May 1986,
mhm.
I walked with her.
Oh,
She was
again,
pregnant.
it was
Yes,
all meant to be.
yes,
All
she
meant
was pregnant with me when she graduated from Morgan State. My aunt went to, oh my gosh, this would happen now. It was in Philly. Temple University, I had to think.
right.
And my uncle went to trade school, so we have technical skills and we have general studies. My aunt was a electrical engineer. My mom studied marketing. My aunt studied business. I'm in school for business currently. So it was just a win-win situation. Me and my cousins are literally trying to race to see who's going to graduate college first right now,
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
One of my cousins actually went to Italy to
Mhm,
study. US doesn't have 13th grade, but Italy does. So
mhm,
one of my cousins went to Italy and she was in the 13th grade. She
mhm,
came back and went to college here, and we are trying to get there, right?
right.
So after high school, I say that all to say,
Yeah,
after high school in 2005, I'm telling my age, but it's okay.
I'm right there
I
with
went,
you. I graduated 2005 as well.
come on,
We
87,
still
baby. Yeah, you know. I went straight to college.
right.
I went to freshman week. It was a breath of fresh air. I just enjoyed myself.
Mhm.
And I think I enjoyed myself a little too much, right? Um,
Got to a little bit.
yeah, that freshman year was something.
Mhm,
And that summer, I got a letter in the mail. and it had said, "Dear Tiara Johnson, you completed your freshman year, and we're gonna put you on academic probation." And in my mind, I was like, "What the heck does academic probation mean?
Right.
Is everybody going to know?" You know what I mean? I was like, "Ugh." I just felt so embarrassed because I was like, "Am I letting my family down? Am I letting myself down? Like, what did I do wrong? Did I party too hard? Like, what did I do and what didn't I do? And how do I come off of academic probation? Does that mean I sit out?" Because it said I was going to be on academic probation for 6 months. So in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss fall semester and I don't go back until the spring semester. And in my mind, I was like, I have to do something. And I didn't take the time to ask.
Mhm.
And when a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And in my mind, I was like, I'm a complete failure. So I didn't take the necessary steps to understand that academic probation doesn't mean you sit at home. It just means that they're going to just view what you do in school for the next 6 months. And I always say that that was one of my biggest regrets. I should have went back, but it's okay because now I
No, it's
know.
okay, yeah, you didn't know,
Yeah,
like, I mean, I think
yeah,
that's another thing too, we're so young, we're trying to navigate, it's our first time in college. When
yeah,
you hear the word probation, that sounds very like, it sounds like punishment, it sounds like you did something wrong, which
yes,
going to school, you're never doing anything wrong.
yeah,
Um, Before you tell us a little bit about, because you're telling us that story of, what education can provide for people and the ways
yeah.
in which some of our educational journeys are filled with obstacles. But
Yes.
before you do that, I actually do want to
Okay.
ask you a question about being a Bennett Belle, because I don't think
Yes.
everybody knows about Bennett College. And
Yes.
I read somewhere that Bennett College was very well manicured grass. Like it has really nice grass, and that the women on campus do not walk on the grass because there are no shortcuts in life. Can you talk a bit about what that means to you as a Belle, in
Yes.
terms of your experience and why you chose Bennett College in particular to go to school?
Yes. So,
Mhm.
shout out to Bennett Belles. I love Bennett College for women. Now it's just Bennett College, but when I went and when it first became an all woman school, because it was just a school for it was co-ed at one point when it first opened. And then back in I want to say 1867. Don't get me guys if it's wrong. I may be wrong. I apologize. I bleed Bennett Belle blue, okay? Um Yeah, so Bennett Belles do it well. Bennett women do not walk on the grass. Bennett Belles always wear their pearls during ACEs. And Bennett Belles learn how to grow in life. During matriculation through college, we were taught the very essence of being a woman. We were
Mhm,
taught the very essence of being an educated Black woman.
mhm.
We just learned life. And I can honestly say, even though I was there for 1 year, I still consider myself a Bennett Belle. And
Absolutely.
that took me from, I think, a girl to a woman because I learned so much. And yes, our lawns were manicured. I know they still are. I have to ask my sister. My baby sister graduated from Bennett in 2023. So I'm so proud of her. She finished what I started essentially. Um, Bennett was amazing.
Really?
Bennett was amazing, and we were under the direction of the amazing President Janetta Besh Cole.
Mhm.
Um, she went from being a president at Bennett to being the director of the African American Museum in DC.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yes. Yes, yes. She's retired from there as well, but
Mhm.
she has an amazing journey and impact in the philanthropy world. So you have to look up Jonetta B. Cole.
I
She is an
will.
amazing entity. She is a movement by herself. And when she spoke with us, we listened. We definitely she had our undivided attention. Bennett was amazing. It can look like a small campus, but it was a family and it was a community for us. You knew every person on campus, no matter the class. Um, they had a big sister, little sister program where the
Mhm.
juniors were big sisters to the freshmen, all incoming freshmen. We had fried chicken Wednesdays.
Mhm.
We had they had a women's basketball team. Um, our homecoming was called um Essence.
Mhm.
We had what's it called? Essence? Yeah. It was Essence of Soul, Soul of Essence. So we didn't call it just homecoming. So that just mattered a little more to me. And we just had a community of women that I still talk to this day.
That's beautiful. No, I
Yeah.
just wanted to let people know because some people don't know how important Bennett College is, especially
Yes.
as a HBCU, and then also
Yes.
people that went to PWIs, which means predominantly white institutions, might not understand the importance of education amongst people that look like you, people that come from
Yeah.
similar backgrounds and history. So thank
Yes.
you so much for sharing that. Let's
Yes.
go back to your educational experience. And so
Okay.
you're having a great time. You're
Yes.
starting, you're in a new environment. You get
Yes.
this letter about probation. It seems scary.
Mhm.
You got other stuff going on. You don't have
Yes.
time to be worried about that. What
Yes.
happened next? And when did you start to realize that this problem might have like a financial aspect to it that might have been burdening you?
Oh my gosh. I remember before leaving that May in
Mhm.
2006, they had called me in the office and they were like, "Hey, you have a debt. How are you looking to pay?" And I was honest with them. I said, "I don't know. I'm not. I'm. I'm 19 years old. I don't have a plan. I do not know what to do." And then they said that they could put me on a payment plan. And I said, "You know what? That sounds great to me, but if I can be honest, I had no intention on thinking of devising a plan financially when in my mind I was like, well, why can't I just wait until, I graduate essentially? But that was when you actually would apply for loans
Okay.
where you could pay it back. What is it still 6 months after you graduate?
Hmm. Yeah, I
I
think
think,
it is.
yeah.
But yeah, it's really confusing, especially when you're
Yeah.
first going to school, the whole loan system, because
Yeah.
I think some people don't understand too that people who don't come from working class backgrounds
Yeah.
might not understand how much stress it puts on you to also, on
Yeah.
top of everything else, have to like figure out how you're going to pay for college, how you're going to finish
Yeah.
college, and stuff happens, right?
Yes.
Life
Yes.
happens.
Life
What
happens.
kind of things were you just dealing with in your life that might have just been more of a priority just because you had more things
Um,
going on, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't. I was thinking of a way to get back into school and I just came home. When I was home, I just felt embarrassed, ashamed. I felt like I had let my family down. And in my mind, I said, you know what? Let me just go. I went to community college at home and I I didn't like it there at all. I was like, this is not for me. I belong back down at Bennett. And I just felt like I couldn't go back. I don't know what to do. And if I had the knowledge and the tools that I have now, I would have known that I could have went back to Bennett and I would have known the actual definition of academic probation. I definitely could have worked out a payment plan with Bennett. I could have actually even went and got a loan so I could continue in my matriculation in college. But just after, I think I can call it my wilderness season. I got into a season of being in the wilderness, not knowing what I wanted in life, really not knowing who I was. And in between that time, I had become a mom.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and my
Congratulations.
thank you. And my top priority was her. And
Absolutely. Of course.
yeah,
Makes a
so
lot of
then
sense.
that's it. Like, I didn't have if I didn't have a plan then, when I was talking to Bennett, I definitely didn't have one now
Right.
because I have to learn how to become not only a woman, now I have to learn how to become a mother.
Mhm.
So, when I had learned that I was pregnant, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have this baby. I'm going to do right by her. And I'm going to also grow. And I tell her all the time, she's older now. And I always tell her, I gave you life, but you gave my life meaning every single day. I'm so proud of you. And during my wilderness season, I actually went through job after job because I was being a mother,
Right.
and I definitely was the definition of provider. Me and her dad, um, we were together. We definitely took care of home first because home was where the heart was, and we created a family. Um, it was when she got older that I was like, you know what? I think I want to go back to school. I think
Right.
she's sufficient enough to where I can navigate this more because I'm going to be honest. It just kept tugging at my heart. Tiara, you have to go back to school. Tiara, you have to go back to school. Tiara, you have to go back to school. And in between my wilderness season, I also became professionally trained in public speaking,
Oh,
and
wow.
I became an inspirational and motivational speaker
Okay. It all
during my
makes sense now because you're my baby.
yes. So
Yeah.
in my wilderness season, I was able to touch people and to navigate life. And in my speaking to the masses, I also was healing me inside because I felt like it was a void where I wasn't able to go back to school. And you know how they say we are all our worst enemies. I was so tough on myself. I would say, oh, I wish you can go back to school. Look at everybody around you. Look at your Bennett Belles sisters. They are thriving while you are surviving. And it just got to a point where I no longer wanted to be a survivor. I know that was one of Destiny's Child's top hits, but I didn't want to be a survivor anymore. I wanted to thrive. I wanted to be more than what I actually was. But in my wilderness season, I can say I learned some amazing things about others, education, and more importantly, myself. And I learned how to forgive myself. I actually have a video where I had a podcast, and on my podcast, it was back in 2021. I had a guest on my show, the Queen's Table Show. It's still on Apple Podcasts, so you guys can listen to it. And I had said, one of my greatest regrets was I said, I'm a college dropout. And on the other line, I was interviewing this amazing woman, and she had cut me off. I mean, immediately, and said, "Okay, Steve Jobs doesn't have a college degree. The Wendy's co-founder doesn't have a degree. Kanye West doesn't have a degree. All these other great people that you know about and you hear about that change history. They didn't necessarily take the education route, but here you are, Tiara." And when she said that, I was like, wow, thank you, because I felt like that was actually a burden being lifted off of my chest because
Right.
I held on to that for so long. I had thought I was an actual failure.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. No, I
Yeah.
and speaking of which, like, thank you first of all for sharing that because I think people don't understand
Yes.
that of the $1.7 trillion of federal student debt that's out there,
Yeah.
actually people assume like, oh, okay, well, people have the debt, but about 40% of borrowers have the debt but don't have the degree. So actually, having starts and stops when it comes to
Yeah.
your college education is
Yeah.
very common. But
Yes.
people don't talk about it.
Mm.
People don't talk about how life happens. People, start families. People
Yeah.
deal with, housing insecurity. All types of things can happen that cause people to need to pause their
Yeah.
educational experience. So I
Yes.
really appreciate you for being upfront and real about that because what you're doing is inspiring other people.
I appreciate
Now I
that.
want to also ask you about just this debt that maybe you didn't really know existed or it was not a priority because it should
Oh,
be. When did it pop back up again and when did you first of all, how much was it? First question. And then when did you find out that that debt was canceled, that it was erased?
Oh my gosh. So before I get to the price tag,
Mhm,
I want to share that I did try to go back to school. I want to say back in 2017, 2018 school year, I wanted to go back to school and they were like, are you a transfer student or are you a new student? I said, I'm a transfer student.
right,
And I just kept trying to find loopholes around how I could get around that. But because I did 1 year of school and I had 24 credits from Bennett, they wanted my transcript. And I was like, oh Lord, have mercy. They ain't gonna give it to me.
right.
So I reached out to a Bennett Belle that I had formerly went to school with. She was in the office of admissions, and
Mhm,
I reached out. I was like, "Hey, how are you? How was life? You know, all the things." And I said, "I'm trying to go back to school. Is it possible I can get a transcript, please?" And she said, "I would love to give it to you, Tiara. I'm good. All this, you know, et cetera, et cetera. However, you still have an outstanding debt." And I
mhm,
was like, "Oh gosh." So I can't another year, I can't go back to school until I make a payment plan. And I even considered doing maybe $30 a pay period because at that time, with the job that I had had, that's all I could afford.
right,
And I said, I need to write a letter to Bennett. And then, of course, I feel like the burden was back, right?
right.
So I was like, "Oh gosh." So I gave up and I started to work harder. And something just told me to get up, do it again. And I had worked at another HBCU.
Mhm,
I was working at Howard University, and during the pandemic, they were restructuring,
mhm,
and I was one of the people that were let go.
mhm,
And they were like, you know, "We're restructuring. We do not wanna let you go." Like, that is all my supervisor could continue to say, "I do not wanna let you go." She even
mhm,
started like, she was about to cry, and I was like, "Please don't make me cry. Please, Dean Whittaker, please do not make me cry." And she was like, "Just go back to school." And I'm gonna be honest with you, the last few, um, jobs that I had, they all kept telling me, "Go back to school, go back to school." And
mhm,
I was like, "I'm not thinking about that right now. I need to take care of my daughter, you know?" And once I heard her say that, I had made it my mission to let's just sit down. Let's take a mindful moment to see how much I owe, number one, how I can pay it down, and how we could just be done with this. Because
mhm,
you cannot, Rome wasn't built in a day.
mhm,
And, you know, in order for you to get through something, you have to actually feel it. And I just sat in it for a moment and I was like, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And
mhm,
so, of course, a year went by and I actually put some money to the side. And it was at this time I realized I owed over $17,000.
wow.
And I said, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get that money, but I am determined to get that money in
Mhm,
totality. And I wanted to give that money directly to Bennett. I knew it would take me some time. Um, and it definitely was taking time.
right,
And one day, my daughter had graduated from middle school and we had just finished celebrating her. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you.
right,
And we were coming home from going out to eat at dinner. And I'll get the mail. Sometimes I'll get it after I've been in a house settled for a while.
mhm,
But this time something just said, "Hey, don't go past the mailbox." And I was like, what is, I don't know. Something was nagging at me. I was like,
mhm,
all right, let me go check the mail. I really wanted to get in the house and take my heels off. My feet were hurting, right?
mhm,
And I said, let me go to the mailbox. And I just saw a letter and I was like, who is this? Who is the Jubilee Fund? I was like, who is this? A Rolling Jubilee. I was like, okay. So I just put it on. I put my other mail away And I opened it right then and there in the foyer. And I was reading and reading. It said we've partnered with Bennett College for Women. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was them acknowledging that I had given money to Bennett because, as you know, Bennett had gotten into an accreditation um, issue matter.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm gonna pay it forward. I said, because I know I'm a part of that. I was like, I might be part of that debt. I might be the reason,
No, you're
you know.
not. That
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
goes to the federal government anyway.
Right, right, right. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me just put some money forward. So I had literally sent in $50 and I got the letter and I was about to give up reading until I got to the end and it said you owed over $17,000. That is all paid off. And I had to read it again. I said, it says paid off. And that was amazing to me because I knew in that moment that not only was it meant for me to finish and continue what I started, because I've always understood that I was meant for more. And sometimes in life, when you're going through things and you're going through the world, it's just like, oh my gosh, I don't supposed to be in this space. I don't supposed to be in this. This is not for me. This
Right.
person is not meant to be in my life. I don't belong in this space, in this area. This is not for me. And when I saw that letter, I was just like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, God." Like, I literally was just screaming, "Thank you, God." And my daughter she came in the living room, was like, "Are you okay? What is wrong? Why are you screaming?" And I told her what happened. She was like, "Oh my gosh, mommy, that is so good." And I just said, "Do you know what this means? Mommy can go back to school. Mommy can continue to do the things that she's wanted to do while also still supporting you in everything you're doing and still celebrating that you graduated from middle school. So this is an amazing day for us.
I
Like
love
it
that it
it
was
just
the
put
same day too. I
I
feel like
it,
that was meant
it
to be.
was the very same day my daughter graduated from middle school. And I
Mhm.
was like, I wasn't expecting this, but God always has a plan. He always makes a way. And I felt every time I was let go from a job and they would say, well, go back to school. I was like, why do they keep saying that? And I was like, this is why. And
Right.
now I felt like it was a mountain in my way. And when I saw the letter, I was like, "Oh my gosh, the mountain has been moved. Thank you, God. Won't he do it?" Like, you can't tell me God won't do anything for me. Um, it was so amazing. It was so amazing. I felt a sigh of relief. The burden was gone. Everything was lifted off my shoulders. And I was like, let's do this. I'm ready. Let's do this.
That's amazing. No, I'm so happy to
Thank
hear
you.
that. If you're just joining us, we're talking about something that happened. It's actually like 4 years ago now, which seems
Yeah.
crazy to me. But
Yes.
the Debt Collective, in collaboration with the Rolling Jubilee Fund, has basically what we do is we buy debt for pennies on the dollar. I didn't know if you know about this, but
I didn't.
the Rolling Jubilee Fund will buy the debt for pennies on the dollar. And what happens is debt collectors, what they do is they try to profit off of that debt. So they're profiting off of the fact that we have to go into debt for school or healthcare or housing. But what we do at the Debt Collective is we just cancel that debt. We get rid of it because we believe that nobody should have to go into debt to pursue education. Everybody should be able to pursue education. And so through that particular Rolling Jubilee Fund movement, we were able to actually discharge $1.7 million in student debt for Bennett Belles, such as yourself, who are amazing and doing amazing, incredible work. And so I just want to thank you for sharing that because I think
Yes.
every time I hear a story, we actually have a story from last year where I talked to an incredible organizer named Gail Francis Garner, and Gail talked about her debt was finally canceled, but it took decades which is
Yeah.
it shouldn't take so long. It needs to happen faster, and I think one of the reasons why the Rolling Jubilee Fund is such an important project is
Mhm.
because we really need to remind people that no one
Yeah.
should have to go into to debt for education, that, the federal government actually has the power to cancel all student debt, using the Higher Education Act of 1965, and it really just has to do with the political will, and people don't necessarily understand that. I think that they think it's
Yeah.
like a really difficult process, but just like the government can fund warfare, war after war after war, they can fund
Mhm.
education so that we can all go to school. And I also want to remind folks, after this call, I'm going to share an article actually from the New York Times opinion section, and this was written around the same time that we did the cancellation for Bennett Belles, and it's by Tressie McMillan Cobham. And one of the things she talks about in her piece is the piece is actually titled "America Turned the Greatest Vehicle of Social Mobility into a Debt Machine."
Mm.
This talks about the history of why the student debt crisis is a crisis. And there's a
Mhm.
passage where this incredible writer, she writes, "The message that some people don't deserve debt relief is a politics of grievance. If you cannot craft a political message that acknowledges that we turn the greatest vehicle of social mobility into a debt machine, then you're not good at messaging. This is the right message. We messed up, our bad, make it right, cancel the debt." So in this
Mhm.
particular passage, the we is the federal government. The we
Mhm.
is this country, which could have funded education, particularly for those who historically have been barred from accessing education, whether it's due to gender or whether it's due to race. And
Mhm.
so we really see student debt cancellation not just as needing to happen, but also college for all, because an educated society is a better society in
Yes,
general.
it is.
And so that's why I just think it's so important for people to hear your story, and I hope that you continue to talk about it,
Thank you.
especially your journey of going through challenges and needing to take a break and coming back. But
Yeah.
now that you have now this burden is lifted off of you, which
Yes.
should never have existed, but it's lifted off of you.
Yeah.
What are some of your dreams, some of your goals, that have kinda opened up for you now that you don't have to worry about that stupid debt in your life?
Yes, that's
Mhm.
what we should call it. That's what
Exactly.
it's been dubbed.
Mhm.
Um, I no longer have things on my list that I want to do. I am actually doing those things. Maddie, I am in school. I will finish, yeah. I will finish this semester in May as a junior. Um, every single semester, I am a 4.0 student.
Whew.
I am on the dean's list every single
Of course you
semester.
are.
Every single semester, right? Um, in June, my daughter will graduate from high school.
Amazing.
Yeah. And she will graduate from high school with her high school diploma and her associate's degree.
Wow.
I prayed over this school that she's at. It is an amazing school. They even have their own college. Um, I particularly chose this school because I didn't want her to go through the things that I went through. We as parents, we want our children to be better and we
One
want them to do better. And we tell them about life and we show them the way so they could walk how we crawled. I crawled for my daughter.
Mhm.
She's coming out with an associate's degree alongside her high school diploma because I didn't want her to get into debt.
Mhm.
And I didn't want her to face some of the things I had to face. And the things I know now, I am teaching her now.
Mhm.
She sits in all my, when I go to events and I speak and I encourage people, I'm encouraging myself too. And I told her, you don't know, this is always for others that I'm talking to, but a little bit for me too,
Of course.
because I love where I am in life. And I have been placed on the shoulders of some amazing men and women that are college educated that had to fight just to get an education, because I can go back and say maybe 6 generations before me, we were not even allowed to read.
Mhm. Talk about it.
So this is important to me. This
Mhm.
has to happen. This is not just because, oh, I got this, I want to do this. No, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams.
Mm,
I am the future that they died for.
absolutely. No, it's so
I
true.
am everything that they fought for. And I'm going to stand in it. I am going to overcome. And I'm going to be that beacon that they look at when they do a timeline of our history. It's going to be where we couldn't and where we are now. Yes, we can. And I did not mean to cry, girl.
No, it's gonna make me cry.
Yeah, girl, I did not mean to do that. But
No,
I am,
it's to
yeah,
not cry is actually to hold back from the true feeling of how
yeah.
deep the I
This
mean, it's a huge injustice
this
that
is
happened,
deeper.
and when you talk about
Yeah,
women and you talk about Black Americans,
yeah,
this is just the starting point. The debt cancellation is
yeah,
just the beginning
yeah,
because
yeah.
what helps Black women helps us all, and that's why Black
That's
women
right.
talking about why debt cancellation, student debt cancellation is so important
That's
because
right.
nobody should have a debt sentence because they
No.
pursued education, because they wanted to better their life, because they wanted to be a better mom, because they want to be a better
Yeah,
community member. What?
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
actually make any sense
yeah.
unless you're trying to keep people away from their dream. And so it's totally
Let's
understandable
talk about
to
it.
feel emotional about that. Honestly,
Yeah, yeah.
it's deep. It's
It's
deep.
very deep. It is.
It's
And
incredible.
I said, no more. I cannot allow this to be a roadblock for me. And I said, if I'm going to do it right, I'm going to do it right this time. No
Exactly.
plan like I did, coming in freshman year, having fun. This is all business for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I said I would make my grandmother proud. I just think about my grandmother being 60 years old, graduating after her. She sacrificed her time for education for her children, and all of her children went to college. So
Right.
now it's a passing of the baton for her grandchildren
Right.
and her great grandchildren. My mother is her first daughter. I am her first granddaughter, and my daughter is her first great granddaughter. So we have 4 generations of amazing women. And
Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure that I made the mark. I made her proud, and she is so proud of me.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sure she is.
Oh gosh, she talked every day. How are you doing? How's school? How are you feeling? And we just have that closeness. And I tell her, it's challenging because I'm probably one of the oldest. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? I am not one of the oldest kids in the students in my class. There's so
Really.
many
There's a
amazing,
lot of older folks that are
yeah,
people that are older borrowers who
returning students.
that
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
amazing. And I told her, we're going to stay the course. And I said, after this, we're going for my MBA. And then after this, we're going to law school. And she said, are you going to take a break? I said, Grandma, I already took the break. I had a 15-year break.
First of
Like,
all, it's
what
okay
do you
to take a
mean?
break too,
Uh, it is. It is.
but
But girl,
I
I'm
feel
gonna be
you.
crawling to them classes. And I have to make it. And there's no stopping for me.
Oh, no,
So
not at all.
yeah.
And also, I just wanna say thank you, thank you, thank you for talking to me today. This
Yes.
will not be the last time we talk. I just
No.
because you're just an amazing speaker. You're just such
Thank
an
you.
inspirational person, and I just wanna remind y'all that, do you have a website or anything can I share? Because I feel like the Queen's Table podcast sounds amazing, and I wanna listen to it more.
Yes.
So I'll do you have a website that you wanna share or anything?
So I did have a website.
Mhm,
I had 2 businesses and a podcast.
mhm,
When I decided to go back to school, I c I sacrificed my things
mhm.
for school. So now, I feel like I have evolved out of the Queen's Table Show. So now I have a new name for my podcast, and it's called True to Tiara.
Okay, I
And
like that.
True to Tiara is all things realness, no facades, no masks. We are um stripping away all of those things, that we are being intentional about who we are, where we are, and where we want to be. Um, I just got the right microphone for my MacBook. So, because I had bought two microphones, both were wrong for
Oh
my
my
MacBook,
God,
and I
it's a whole
forgot. I said,
thing, podcasting. I try to tell people it's hella
It's
work.
a lot. So
It's a
now I
lot.
have all the right essential things.
That's
And
good.
we are winding down to the semester. For me, I'm going to record a few episodes
Yeah.
and we're just going to get started. I am on I'm on LinkedIn. Guys,
Mhm.
I don't have my LinkedIn information, but if you just put in Tiara Johnson, Tiara Johnson, I have a ponytail and a red dress on. Um,
Okay.
Facebook, Tiara Johnson. Um, yeah, the Queen's Table Show on Apple Podcasts. Please look out for that. And also follow True to Tiara. It's spelled the regular way, True,
Mhm.
TrueToTiara. And episodes for that will come in April.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Yes,
Well, thank
ma'am.
you again. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Hopefully this won't be the
Yes.
last time that we talk.
No, it won't
And
be.
I'm just so inspired by you and I'm inspired by your story. And now I know I met a Bennett Belle, the first Bennett Belle, and you definitely have given them a good name. So
Yes.
just
Thank
want
you
to tell
so
you
much.
that.
Yes. And
Yeah,
I hope I made my Bennett Belles proud.
you did. I know you did. Well, it was so good talking to you and I'll talk
Yes.
to you again soon, okay? Take
Yes.
care.
Thank you so much. Take
Of
care.
course.
Bye.
Bye.